Just decided to say,
on your knees.
Decided to say fuck it and go grab a drink.
I had to make some water. I had to tibby an Igni.
Sometimes you got to tibby the Igni, man.
Are you gonna air out your horrible joke on the show here?
Oh, was that a horrible joke? I thought that was pretty funny.
It's a 1920s joke. Sure.
I thought that was super creative. You guys don't like my fucking
joke. I don't know. I don't know if I saw the joke or heard it.
I'm not gonna ruin it. Tell him the joke. You judge, Trevor. You judge.
Why was Igni scared of Tibby? Because Tibby ate Igni.
Fuck, man.
Come on.
You made the man cough, Schiller.
Tough
you
crowd.
Gave him a permanent cough for that joke.
Hello, everybody.
We're back.
We're masturbating.
Show
your hands.
Show everybody.
I'm only showing you this one.
That doesn't mean that your dick's not in a fleshlight.
I have 3 hands. You guys
but who's holding the fleshlight?
It's Vader time.
Uh-oh.
From the guys who brought you shit that sucks. It's shit that fucks.
Dude, I think you're having a good hair day today.
I feel like I'm having a decent enough hair day. It's low maintenance, which is always a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what doesn't suck?
Are you going to say Vader?
Waiter.
That's debatable. That's debatable.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, fucking A.
No spoilers.
So I've gone back through. You see how tall that is? It's just sitting right here on my fucking. It's sitting on my desktop.
Oh yeah, let me see the whole thing.
Fucking shit! Look at that. How long can it possibly be? That's what they say. Oh, there we go. Isn't it beautiful?
Is that officially everything? Like every release for sure?
No, definitely almost everything. But like, there's a couple of fucking weird little singles and vinyl only things.
Oh yeah,
they got a lot of weird live albums too.
They got a lot of. I got 3 Vader live albums. They have in the last couple of years started. I guess I don't know if it's their own label or what, but they've started printing off their own shit. Like they re-released one of their early singles, and they've got two live albums that are for sale specifically out of their web store. I think that they pressed them. Like one of them is in Texas and one of them somewhere else. Huh. So I still got some shit that I got to catch up on. But
I got that Morbid Reich demo when it came out again.
Yeah. I've got that in a.
That's awesome.
I love that one. Yeah. Well, I get confused because they also got that other. They got so many weird re-releases of their demos. Like there's the one with the new painted cover, but then there's the originals that have kind of the original covers jazzed up a little bit. So I don't know which is which anymore. I don't know. I think there's a lot of bootleg versions of those too.
Yeah. Today, what we're going to do, we got together, we said to ourselves, let's give this thing a little bit of direction. And that direction is going to be to begin with just one band. We're going to talk about one band, and we're going to see where the conversation goes. And the band that we have chosen today is Vader, a long-running Polish waiter, as I call them whenever I say their name aloud by myself. Polish band, started off in the thrash scene, back behind the fucking Iron Curtain, if I'm not mistaken, playing fucking blasphemous shit in Poland when it was a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah.
Long-running death metal band. Pretty much found their stride, I feel like, with De Profundis, and then after that continued to crank out fucking thrash-inflected death metal for the masses. It's some of the catchiest shit, I think. Definitely a consistent band. There are, as far as like a handful of bands that I consider like good bands by any standard of death metal, but also bands that are accessible enough to sort of be someone's gateway into the genre. Vader are definitely on that list. And we've got like a fucking massive catalog to chat about today, man. We listened to this shit ahead of time. We re-familiarized ourselves. I ran 15 miles earlier today, and I listened to Vader the entire time. I probably won't listen to Vader again for a while.
I don't believe you, honestly.
No.
Knowing you.
Yeah, dude. I can't help myself. I shuffled the entire catalog.
Oh, you build best ofs, right? For your
Yes.
yeah, I do too.
I build best ofs, for nothing, and I can't.
I love that. I love doing that. Well, because it brings me back to the days of the tapes of still making a mixtape, and it still feels like that you can put a mixtape on your phone. It's like this folder has a mixtape in it, and these are just the songs I like. I do that all the time.
Mixtapes, man.
Mixtapes were fun, but like I didn't miss the boat on that. Like, of course, I made some and I had some, but like by the time I really got like neurotic about making compilations, the burned CD was the way to go. And that 78-minute window to me, like, that's how those are the parameters by which I judge a good playlist, right? I still love the art of having to like make some sacrifices and kill some darlings to try and fit everything into that 80. It's a productive thing to work with for some people, you know?
Absolutely. I still believe in that. Well, and with the tape, you had to deal with the constraint of side A and side B. So you'd have to build a side A that, you know, built up and ended, and then side B had to build up, you know, it was a whole, it's bizarre.
And there was math. There was math involved in that shit.
It was a pain in the ass, but it was great.
Well, it's the same principle though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
With a band like Vader, I feel like it's difficult to sort of, you know, definitely that would be a 2-disc thing for me.
Dude, how do they pick their set list? Like,
no shit.
I know eventually it's going to be the same problem with BDM. We're getting there with 9 records, but like, Vader has how many albums? Like, holy shit, dude.
I think 14. I don't know. I don't know.
Here's the problem I encountered, because I'm trying to listen on Bandcamp. That requires about 5 different Bandcamp accounts. So then I said, fuck it, I'll go to Spotify. And then Spotify's got all the shit out of order. Like, wait a minute, is this the re-release or the re-release of the re-release, or is this the... And so I think it's debatable what their catalog is or how huge it is. I don't know if it's ever been nailed down by science. I think we're still discovering new albums. I haven't. There's 5 of them I still haven't listened to because I couldn't make it in time for the show here. But let's go.
So are you a big Vader fan, Patrick?
Well,
like beforehand,
it's complicated because it's a long history I've had with them. I've had a history with them since they started. Like, my friends were heavily into them when the Ultimate Incantation came out on tape. A friend of mine let me borrow it on tape, and at the time I was like, this is good, but I don't see why everyone's going nuts about it, because at the time I was kind of like heavily into Nocturnus, which is way flashier and nuttier and shit.
Where's the wind chimes in this?
You're like, where's
the crazy
the new wave elements?
There's no time traveling going on.
What is that opening track on the Nocturnus album, the Lake of Fire, where it like that Rob Zombie sounding fucking that shit rules, man. I love Nocturnus.
Huge influence on Crypticus. But so being into that, when I heard Ultimate Incantation, I was like, well, this is a little bare bones. I don't know. Then years later, I ended up getting into them in the black metal era, when everyone was heavily into black metal. I was heavily into death metal, and it was like really hard to find good death metal at the time. And people were like, "Oh, this band Vader, they're coming out with it. Remember Vader from back in the day? They're coming out with a new album." I was like, "What, Vader? Really?" And then I heard that, saw this EP, and I thought that was fucking amazing. I fell in love with them around the time I saw this, and then things got complicated after that, and I don't know where I stand on them now. So this is actually me rediscovering them for this episode.
Dude, that rules.
Yeah, I really haven't dipped back into them in a long time, because frankly, they just haven't been brutal enough for me. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, we will. We'll definitely get into that part.
I mean, to me, they really scratch that Slayer itch. I mean,
yes,
for sure,
absolutely.
It's so much Slayer in what they do. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
more so than any other band out there. I want to say, like, it's really.
Yeah. Well, now that I think about it, because no one else is really picking up the Slayer torch. But when I also noticed a lot of Creator. But for sure. It's like, the Slayer riff has been, I've noticed about 20 different versions of the awesome Slayer riff as done by Vader when I was going through my journey.
Look, Vader's got one song.
I think got about 4 songs.
I think over time, though, like, they're now more into like choruses and stuff, and having a more typical structure, where Deeper Fundus was just like riff salad. It was still cool.
Bizarre.
It's awesome, but that's my favorite, honestly. Deeper Fundus is my favorite.
It's an awesome record. Going back, it's not my favorite Vader record, but going back and listening to it again, some of the songs that I haven't had, like on Best Ofs for a while, the opening track on Deeper Fundus, I haven't had it on any compilations that I've made of Vader for the last couple of years. And as I was listening to it a couple of days ago, sort of gearing up for this, I was like, the structure to this song is just absolutely fucking bizarre. It's like it's not like bizarre in like a math sense, but it is, it's like you can just see this group of dudes who are like, all right, there's that riff. Okay, what's next? All right, there's that riff. Okay, okay, we hit 4.5 minutes. All right, stop. And it just feels like you said, riff salad. You know, it's
right. But you know, it's cool though. Like it's before everybody was glued to a click. I doubt that Vader would play to a click anyway. Now, you know, they're too old school. And they just sound so fucking good. Like, why would you do that to them? But, dude, there's the song on Deeper Fundus. I think it's the third one where I swear to God he says, "Dag nabbit." he's like, "Dag nabbit." I remember Deeper Fundus being like kind of hard to get a hold of. Like,
it was.
I think it was on the Monstrosity Dudes label, which was probably a mistake for everyone involved.
Nightmare.
Like, yeah. So you have Lee from Monstrosity's mom, like, taking care of you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, I don't know if they just had a one-off deal with Earache, but it seems kind of weird that Deeper Fundus got kind of like lost in the shuffle of time there for, you know, like now it's back and properly re-released and everything. And
yeah, this is that black metal mania. I'm telling you, it's like all my friends. They were so hardcore into black metal that they were even making fun of me for wanting. Like, I was heavily into Sinister at the time, and they were like, "What are you listening to? What is this, death metal?" Like, oh, okay. Like, no forests and shit. Like, bro, come on, I'm into guitar playing. You know, so it was really kind of a thing at the time, and it was like Vader were considered ballsy for even doing death metal. Like, they didn't go black metal. They're keeping it real. And I was like, yes, they are. But yeah, it was hard to find, and it was kind of poo-pooed upon a little bit, just a little bit, because when it came out, motherfuckers heard it and they're like, okay, that shut everyone's mouth when they heard Deep Profundus. You know, that EP just kind of gave everyone a taste of what was coming.
Right. Yeah. That you could, you know, Sophis is awesome, and
I love it.
You could tell that they were onto something right then. I think maybe like that's like the pivoting point. Like, there's nothing wrong with the first record, but like, it's just not all there yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's a cool Death Thrash album. It's classic.
When I go through my Vader collection on iTunes, if I organize it by song, there'll be like 4 or 5 different versions of one of the same song, you know, like including live versions, but like Litany, I think they recorded the song Litany like 3 different times. It's on the record. It's on 25, and then it was also re-recorded for that Thy Messenger EP.
Like, I don't want to listen to live death metal records for the most part, like historically, you know what I mean?
Me neither. Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
That's not typically what I go for, but from time to time, there are live death metal records or live grind records, I think, that are like Nazem's Doombringer is a fucking incredible live document. That shit sounds incredible.
Recent Suffo live album is
that one is amazing. Yeah, because it doesn't really even sound live. It's like,
I know, it
so
sounds
perfect.
Like it just sounds like it's cool hearing some of those old songs like beefed up with that like production. You know?
Well, I'm blown away that I just cannot believe those guys can play that so precisely. That is just them naked, and it sounds amazing.
The next Suffocation record, I think, is going to be a big one.
Yeah, I hope so. The last 2 have been good, but I don't know. I feel that their kill is still coming. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I mean, they're gonna if this is gonna be the first record without Frank, I think it is, right?
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. Yeah, it's gonna be.
They're gonna have to come so hard with this one. You know what
that's
I mean?
What I'm saying. I think that they know that those guys have been doing it long enough, and they've already, you know, Hobbs is in the band, and Derek Boyer was also there when they made their comeback. They've already made a comeback before. You know what I mean?
Like, several almost.
Yeah, those dudes, I think, know at this point they've got enough sense to know sort of what they need to bring to the table in order to win over anybody who's maybe doubting what's coming up.
So Vader.
Yeah, Vader. Back to Vader.
Re-recordings,
how do you guys feel about re-recordings?
I think for the most part, I'm against it. Until I hear it and it's good, I think it's gonna suck.
Oh,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, historically, I kind of feel like it does. Like, you have Amorphous retreading the Tales record songs and blowing it.
Yeah.
You've got Gorgoroth re-recording a record, blew it. Like Vader is a band that, like, when you see them now, like, they're as good as they've ever been. Like, they're so like muscly and just tough sounding, and like even with the member changes, like, they haven't ever missed a beat. You know, so I feel like when you see Vader now, like, you're seeing the best Vader show you can see.
Yeah.
So like when they play the old songs live, they sound ferocious, and they brought that ferocity like to those re-recordings somehow.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like where often like you can't recapture that kind of magic, you know?
What I'm thinking of most is the 25.
The 25 comp, yeah.
Yeah, 2-disc re-recordings of like songs from like 6 different albums, I think, from the early
have
stuff.
Some synth kind of stuff in there tucked in?
Yes. So one of the things that they did on some of the songs is go through and put like some orchestration in some of them where it wasn't originally there. And I wasn't a huge fan of that part, but I'm telling you, the quality of everything else is so good that it makes me really not give a shit. Black to the Blind songs that are on there especially have so much more fucking punch than the original ones.
I definitely listened to that whole record last night.
Yeah, how'd that resonate?
I like it more than I thought I did, actually. Yeah. It is, I think, at the bottom of all, you know, it's still great. It's still Vader, you know, but it's at the bottom of the list for me, for them. But it's so, you know, it's the next album after Deep Profundus, so I still hear like those kind of riffs in there at times, and like just like, ooh, yeah. But it's a little bit, the mix is just not there, man. Like
the mix is bad.
It is. It's like really live sounding, like kind of to its detriment. Yeah. Like kind of junky sounding. And
I just don't feel like it had the punch of Deep Profundus at all.
Oh, look, like imagine hearing Deep Profundus right when it came out. Like, that, you know, that must have been like, it sounds fucking like it was recorded the other day. You know what I mean?
Good.
Like
yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a bit of a bummer. And then there's the whole like Carnal being the single from the record.
Why?
I don't know. Like it's kind of like, hey man, we got to, you know, do a really kind of new metal like build up talking part.
I'm going to talk on this.
Oh, good.
I'm going to talk on this song, and you know, I'm not going to sound like an old Polish wizard at all. Like there's, it's like,
yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Like I like knowing, you know, with a lot of the stuff that I am into, you know, I was not old enough, and I wasn't into it at the time that it was released, right? So discovering Black to the Blind, it was interesting to see Carnal being the song that sort of got chosen as the one that was going to represent that record.
Right.
That's the one like the whispers, right?
Right. Yeah.
Kept the whispers. Like the talking is in a bunch of Vader songs moving forward.
Yes, moving forward, he's done a lot of that. I've noticed.
Yeah, but like Carnal was not. I don't get Black to the Blind. To me, it's the lowest. It's ranked lowest, right down there with the Beast.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting.
Come on, the Beast, bro.
I feel like, yeah, dude. I feel like the Beast is a.
All right, so
swing and a miss.
The Beast was the new record when we first toured with Vader. They had Dare on drums before he went to Dimmu.
That guy.
And you know, they still had Mauser, and like, you know, the early lineup was mostly intact still. Yeah. There's a couple songs I think that really are scorchers on there, and Insomnia is one of them, where he's like, I can't sleep.
That's part of it is how goofy the lyrics are, and like how high his voice is in the mix. Like a lot of that shit.
Dude, like, Litany has some funny like Flinglish, I want to say.
It does. It does, but like I feel like the songwriting on Litany was just fucking miles above.
Oh sure, it's ferocious, dude. Litany's hard. That's a hard.
Litany was my first Vader record.
Nice.
And Patrick, this will be some great memories for you. I think I had just graduated from high school, and me and a friend and my girlfriend drove down to Monroe, Louisiana, to the Pecanland Mall.
Yep. Many thrash tapes there myself.
Yes. To go to the record store they had there at the time. It might have been Warehouse Music or something like that. And I bought Vader's Litany and Immolation's Failures for Gods.
Wow.
And good day.
Solid.
I got a ticket on the way down there, my first speeding ticket. But on the way back, I was like, this is some sick shit that totally justifies what I've done today. Listening to Litany for the first time, like I just remember being fucking blown away by how heavy the bass drum was.
Kick drum. What did they do in the car stereo?
Dude, that shit's like almost on the Berserker level, you know?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it chills out later on the record. Like the only place on the record where I feel like it's borderline too much is just the opening of Wings.
That's called. you getting used to it. It doesn't change through the record.
It doesn't change throughout the record?
Like, I just don't know.
By the way, Brynjar, drummer that played Crypticus, that was his favorite drum album ever. He loved that. He was constantly trying to get me to crank that kind of kick drum sound. I was like, bro, I can't do it, man.
Like listening to Black to the Blind yesterday, like it's the same kick drum for sure, but it's not as like pushed out front or like each the same way. Like it's the same exact sample for sure.
I got the same feeling when I listened to Morbid Angel's Illud Divinum Insanus for the first time. The opening track, not the intro, but the first proper track on there that's got the industrial drums behind that song. It's got the same kind of bass vibe to it. And I was just, in that song, it's very, very confusing. On Litany, like, it felt, I don't know, it just felt like it was part of the mix. At the time, I absolutely loved it. Over time, I have realized just how unique that sound is compared to a lot of other records. But, like, Litany was my first experience with Vader, and for me, that is definitely my favorite Vader record, man.
Oh, wow, of all of them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, fascinating, because I never would have predicted that. I never.
Oh, man. And obviously, so much of what your favorite record from a band has to do with, that record's context in your life as much as the band, the quality of the band or whatever. And that's why it gets harder as you get older for these things to sort of stand out that way, because you experience a lot more of it. But like as a kid, I was firmly into death metal at that point. Like I had spread out pretty far. Hadn't gotten to Vader yet, heard that record for the first time and was like, this shit fucking rips. Like it's heavy as hell, but it's also so catchy.
I mean, that was like when they got a higher profile again, right? Like the first output for Metal Blade, I think.
Litany was on Metal Blade. The Beast was on Metal Blade.
Like so a few EPs, Kingdom.
Yeah. One of the things that confused me about Vader's lineup, I've never owned either Blood or Reign Forever World, but I own Blood/Reign Forever World.
Right.
The compilation. And it feels enough, in my mind, it feels like an album because that's the way that I first heard it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like those two things, even though there was another record in between them, I think they complement each other in a way that makes the whole thing sound good on one album.
Well, I think overall, like, they're so consistent in sound, like, that can work for them. You know what I mean? Like,
even the songs they cover, there's like 3 cover songs on Reign Forever World. And Vader's also got 2 full cover records, and a shitload of covers tacked on to his bonus tracks and shit like that.
I do dig their covers. Well, especially anytime they crank out a Slayer cover, of course it's it's like they really
a lot of Vader covers.
They nail it.
Yeah.
They nail it, and it sounds like Vader. Like that's one of the things that when bands cover songs and manage to put enough of themselves into it that it sort of brings new life to that cover. Like that to me, when it comes to death metal, like that's the shit that I like to hear. That so late last year, Outer Heaven dropped a covers EP. And
I don't think I heard that.
Holy shit, dude! It was incredible. And the thing is, like they're covering fucking Mortician.
Oh shit!
And Pig Destroyer.
Oh hell yeah!
And Morbid Angel and fucking, they make all of that shit not only sound like they're covering like one other band, but it sounds like Outer Heaven songs. And when you're talking about that kind of difference in the band, they got Secret Face by Death closes that thing.
Oh wow!
And fucking a Mortician track opens it.
How do you go from Mortician to Secret Face? That's amazing.
Listen to it.
Get smarter as the album goes on.
It's the evolution of death metal.
Yeah, you start as a single cell organism.
It's like that chart
sitting on your brain meme. But like, dude, it sounds like Outer Heaven. Like it sounds like a new Outer Heaven EP. And I feel like Vader have that same skill. Like whatever they cover, they bring enough of themselves to it. And like they still bring a lot of enthusiasm to it, like a long way into their career. There were covers on the end of Welcome to the Morbid Reich. Like those guys have been a band fucking forever at that point. And Tibia Agony too. I think there was a cover on the end of that.
That's the thing about Vader. They're so impassioned and like fiery sounding. Like they have the fire, dude. Peter's a fucking force, man. Like dude is a fucking legend. And I had the moment where when the lineup dissolved, like all the classic guys were out of the band, where I was like, oh shit, like what's he gonna do? Like how's this gonna go?
Yeah,
but
he is the
It's
band.
been just for sure, dude, for sure. It's been just as sick, man. It's been just as sick. Like he's had awesome players come through. Litany is one of my favorites.
Yes.
The Art of War EP.
Yeah.
Like talking about when they had like, you were talking about how they married kind of like some symphonic stuff into that 25 record, but like they do it, on that Art of War EP, these big grandiose intros. Yeah, that's a really sick moment in their history right there. It's awesome.
This is the Japanese import version of the Art of War.
Nice, of course.
Still shrink wrapped.
No, it's not shrink wrapped.
It looks like it is.
It's a sleeve.
Oh, gotcha.
It comes with a bonus track.
I can get into it.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you can get into it and enjoy it.
Yeah. So you want to talk about Vader bonus tracks, all right? The Kingdom EP, which I think they bill as like a mini CD, a mini album, which I don't fucking get that distinction. There are 3 industrial bonus track remixes on the end of this.
Fuck that shit. I'm out.
It's bad. I mean, it sounds...
It is.
It sounds super half-assed, but the thing is, like, they're all 7-something minutes long, and I
spare me.
We gotta do a full episode about death metal remix tracks.
Oh, we could cover. There's a lot to cover there. Yeah,
Malevolent Creation.
Oh boy.
Was that the Joe Black?
Joe Black.
Yeah.
Let me tell you my Vader story about.
Yeah, dude. That's what I was gonna say. Tell us about Vader, especially Peter. Like I know.
So it was our first tour of Europe ever, and the lineup was ridiculous, dude. Like here it is from the bottom up. Belphegor first.
Wow.
They were pissed that we were playing after them, rightly so, because we were like just some new jacks.
Oh, wow.
We were second. Then there was Fintroll, Vader, Napalm Death, Marduk headlining.
My God.
Holy shit, dude.
What year was this, just for context?
2004?
And man,
Xmas Festivals, 2004.
Yeah.
That was our first experience in Europe, dude. Meanwhile, we have all short hair and stuff, and people are like, okay, it was good, but why are you here? But anyway, we're on a bus, this big ass bus, with all shitty wooden bunks in it, and they'll cram 3 bands in these big buses like that. And so it was us, Vader, and Fintroll. So I got a crash course in vodka, let's say.
I can imagine.
And I remember Peter just seemed really intense, and I remember kind of staying out of his way and being like, okay, I'm gonna get in my bunk right now, and look out there and be like, no, Peter's coming down the hall. I'm gonna chill for a second. And then eventually, a week into the tour, he caught me in the hall and grabbed me. He's like, you guys are wild. Stay wild. And I was like, fuck yes, hell yeah, I've been blessed by the god. So yeah, that was cool. After that, we warmed up a little bit, but I was definitely trepidatious about talking to him. He just seemed like such a warlord. Man, Dare, dude, what a drummer. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Doc, of course, R.I.P.
That's right when Doc got replaced. Right?
Yeah, he was the guy after Doc, and what a fucking stellar drummer, dude. Holy
I saw them in Denver for no, I'm sorry, that was Revelations, right? Was that the one before the bass?
Yeah, Revelations is I think down the ladder for me, but I still
slower.
Like it. It's slow, dude. It's kind of like a Seasons in the Abyss at times,
Absolutely. Or absolutely. But I saw them for that one here in Denver, and I totally was drunk, and I saw Peter in the lobby, and I just punished him for 15 minutes, and you guys, blah, blah, and just the look on his face, good God. That one comedian, Brian Posehn, he's talking about he went up to the dude from Wasp. He's like, "You guys rule," and the dude said to him, "Grow a pair of tits. I don't care." It was that's the attitude I felt from Peter. That's how I learned not to punish my heroes.
I have yet to learn that lesson.
Dude, I'm so bad, man. It took me 7 out of 10 tours with Cannibal Corpse until I could look them in the eye as human beings. People outside of death metal wouldn't get it. This is getting to rub elbows with some of my heroes has been one of the coolest things about being in the band. You can't really put a monetary worth on that to me.
Right.
Talking to Immolation, it's just whoa, or running into Suffocation in the Czech Republic at a festival and being like, "What's up, my dudes?"
Dude, that's insane.
And surreal, dude. It's been cool.
Don't think we're not going to mine you for all these stories here.
Sure, yeah.
As we continue, that's
as we tackle
staple.
every band in the world, we'll get them out.
You'll mention some band every time a fucking ridiculous named band comes across my table or whatever. Shit fucker. I'll tweet about man, can't believe there's a band called Shitfucker. And like, sure enough, Trevor pops up. It's like, nice dudes though, or something like that. Like, Trevor knows.
Shitfucker could have an episode of their own, or maybe bands that piss on the crowd could have their own episode.
It'll be like a fucking one-man noise project from like grindcore karaoke. It's some kid who lives in Japan, and like Trevor knows him, and he's
needle contaminated pork. I know him. We hung out. He contaminated me. How about fart barf? You know the fart barf guys?
Fart barf.
Is that for real?
Fart barf, one word. You know what? That's a real band. I don't think they're metal. Is probably the only reason you don't know them.
Dude, honestly, there's a couple of bands that like have been. The name is just so shot that like I haven't tried it. Yeah. Or like Waco Jesus just has so much shit on their CDs.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not in the lane for you. That's it.
Yeah.
I agree 1,000%.
Another one is I Shit on Your Face.
That's a band?
Yes.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they have a split with Volnus, who are awesome, and I've listened to the Volnus side many times, but got no interest in flipping it.
Now, like my thing is like if it's a word that I would hesitate to say out loud alone, I probably won't fuck with it. Interestingly enough, when this has happened, it is almost always, and this has happened a bunch of times, it is almost always because of a free CD that I received from a brutal death metal distro.
I have stacks of stuff I did not ask for. That is
dude, how much of brutal death metal is actually trash, man? Like
they just
fuck ton of it, dude. Honestly, like a shit ton of it. Like so many like homemade records that like should not have been made, basically.
I got in touch with Carl from ForceFed when he shut down ForceFed merch, which that fucking sucked, man. That dude.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker, dude.
Awesome dude. Well, like I hit him up after they shut down, and I was like, "Hey, man, you know, I assume you shut this down for a reason. You know, I got some money to spend. Like, if you've got anything laying around, you know." And he sent me a box of shit, and there was like,
I bet you got the weirdest
dude.
Shit.
I got some stuff that I wanted. Like I got some stuff that I've been looking for. He sent me a sealed copy of Devourment's 138 compilation, which was super fucking cool. But like some of the other ones, like the names of the records are things that like I look at it and I'm just like, I can't fucking bring myself to it. The band is called Sick Fuck and the record is called Shit-Fisted Superman. They came back recently with Diarrhea Duet, but before that,
oh yeah, now his girlfriend is singing with him.
Yeah, before that they had very romantic. And it was the record was called Shit-Fisted Superman, and like that's the cover of the record, man. And like that's one of the things that I never would have come across if someone like I think Comatose Records maybe sent it.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the United Guttural era.
Yes,
and, like,
yeah.
Screaming Afterbirth and like like their
all
album with the barf on the front of it and stuff like that.
Fuck the Ass Records.
Lowbrow Midwestern brutal death metal.
Yeah.
Like the sweatpants all day. You know?
We can start talking about Vader and end up talking about Shit-Fisted Superman, and
Absolutely.
Like have that. It's all a fluid part of one conversation. They are, and Trevor's talked about this anyway, and Patrick, you have too. Like they have been really consistent across their discography over 30 years or whatever. But at the same time, some of the heaviest and fastest shit that they've ever done, they're doing right now. Fucking that Thy Messenger EP, and then the record that came out after it, Solitude and Madness. That's some of the fastest and heaviest shit they've done, and like they're doing straight up like minute and 15-second songs on there, which they've done that plenty of times before. But like
the drummer they have now, James, he's a kid from the UK. He smokes, dude. He's fucking rips.
Yeah.
But dude, like it's not just because I love Vader. I'm not giving them any like undue credit on the new stuff. Like the new stuff is that good. Like you're saying, like the fucking just firing on all cylinders still, man. It's
what's it called? Dark Age, that Vader where they re-recorded that.
Dark Age.
That to me, I was like, well, I just might as well take the Ultimate Incantation and just put that on eBay. Thank you so much, because this is exactly what I want.
That's kind of how I feel about it too. And I honestly love the Ultimate Incantation, but hearing it like on like steroids, everything just sounds so huge and so vicious, and like
exactly,
they're like absolutely in their finest form. Yeah. One of my favorite releases by them, honestly. Like it's so furious. There's that song where they do like 12 cymbal catches in a row, and it cracks me up every time. It's like gun 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 gun. Like
that's That's so Polish death metal to do that. You know,
it's so hard, dude. It's so fucking hard.
Polish death metal is so much about extremes.
Like I said earlier, I think that they're the best that they've ever been. And if I wasn't gonna pick Litany as my favorite record, I would pick Tibia Igni. That record is a fucking ruthless, just like blistering death metal thrash fest. There's one song on there that I fucking hate, but the rest of that record is flawless.
I still love those demos. I think those demos are really, like, they still sound great. Yeah.
The Morbid Right demo, man.
Yes.
Big time. It's piss.
It is.
His voice is sick, though. It's like different. It's before he became like the old wizard voice, you know?
Is that how you see it? That he's an old wizard? That's interesting.
I see him as, to me, he feels more like a drill sergeant.
That's kind of how I felt, yeah.
Because, like, at the beginning of every Vader song, just in case you're not sure you're listening to Vader, he comes on and he's like, right, and that's how you know.
Right.
That's how you know. There's
I just don't know.
So, Trevor, do you know which Vader albums you haven't heard?
I think it's the one that you like the most.
Tibia Igni?
Yeah.
Dude, the opening track from Tibia Igni, that would probably be the first Vader song that I would play to anybody who hadn't heard Vader before.
Oh, well, very well. I'm going to have to.
It is like, it's got one of the little orchestral flourishes at the beginning. You know, they like their fucking intros from time. It's got just blazing like that record. That whole record is so fucking fast and thrashy, except for the one song that sucks. That song's not.
Well, I have an embarrassing admission. I was listening to that album and I started to go to hell and I heard symphonic shit. And I said, skip intro, and went to the next song. That's why motherfuckers need to stop doing those crazy intros.
Well, I mean, or if that's what they want to do,
they can do it, but I'm going to skip it.
We'll go back and listen to it.
Put it on its own track.
Force yourself to listen to the intro, because the way you have to let it build, and you have to build with it. And as it gets stronger, then here comes the...
Yeah, that's the Art of War EP too. So that.
To be clear, I like symphonic mixed in with the death metal. I don't necessarily want to sit through fucking 3 minutes of it and get to it and get to the death metal. You're getting skipped in 10 seconds. You better bring me something fast, buddy, because this is a factory. I'm getting through death metal here. Okay.
Solitude and Madness is a fucking straight to the point. There's no bullshit. It is
it's fucking furious, dude.
It is a
I can't believe I missed out on this.
Fast fucking record, man. And like that, they dropped that EP, and I was like, oh, okay. Here's what now?
What is your tibias, boys?
Yes, Schiller, Professor. What's our tibias?
Well, it's a bit outside. Tibia, not the tibias. It's a bit outside my area of expertise, but if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the bones in the lower half of your leg between your knee and your ankle.
I thought you were a gore grind doctor. Isn't that what you're a professor of?
Of gore grind?
Yeah.
Man, how fucking dope would that be?
So, obviously it's named after Darth Vader, right?
I don't know. I first thought that maybe.
I mean, what is a Vader?
It means father in German.
There's an old issue of Grimoire of Exalted Deeds where Beelzebub is interviewing Peter and, taking the piss out of him the whole time. It's actually really brutal and funny because he opens the interview he goes, Peter, I have a riddle for you. How do you sink a Polish battleship? And he goes, you cannot sink a Polish battleship. Our battleships are unsinkable. He goes, wrong. You put it in the water. And then it's just like,
dead silent.
And they do the rest of the interview, and he goes, so what did you name?
We've got the same joke energy.
He's like, what did you guys name yourself after? He said, well, I think it's pretty obvious. It's a Darth Vader. The name. We just thought it sounded, it was that.
So they really are named after Darth Vader.
Well, he of course can't say that specifically.
Do you think if he were to admit that Disney would come for him?
I'm selling Vader to Disney for $4 billion.
All right, he needs to team up with Disney and make a Star Wars Vader record, bro. Paraphrases like some of the marches and shit.
Holy shit, that'd be incredible.
Wouldn't it?
That would be amazing.
I would take Vader doing the fucking Imperial Death March or whatever. That would be pretty tight. Pete, I know you're listening.
Of course.
When are we gonna get a fucking cover of Star Wars songs by Vader?
We're working out the deals right now.
Vader does Star Wars. Yeah, and also imagine that, him fucking hammering somebody from Disney on the phone about fine details.
I'm thinking of it the opposite way. I think Star Wars just suddenly has Vader music in it. See, that's how I'm looking at it. Vader just starts popping up on the Mandalorian as
I can't believe that Jon Favreau is like the fucking Star Wars guy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like how that worked out is bizarre.
Gutter from PCU.
Yeah, holy shit, that dude leveled up, didn't he?
He did.
He's got to be like Scrooge McDuckin into his coins.
Oh, for sure.
It's very hard to Scrooge McDuck into bitcoins, though. That's
how I'm gonna die.
Surrounded by bitcoins.
I'm gonna jump into a pit of bitcoins and just hit the bottom. Obviously,
and you will hit the bottom and die. Exactly. So here we go. You have to choose. Do we like the De Profundis versions more, or do we like the Sothis versions more?
Sothis features my favorite song of all time by Vader, and it is the remake of The Wrath. That is my favorite Vader song of all time.
Yes, obviously The Wrath is not featured on De Profundis because it is a remake of a song. Yeah, you didn't answer my fucking question. But like I don't know, I like the Sothis ones more just because I like the atmosphere. Like I do think that the production is a little bit better on De Profundis, but I like the way that Sothis flows together with the interludes and the intro. Like it feels like
Sothis is more hellish. It has more of that like feedbacky, like Slayer in Hell vibes, you know?
Yeah, it's like I can see like fucking like dry ice smoke in the studio with them, like while they're making
like that.
It, you know what I mean? It just feels like a fucking darker version of what ended up on De Profundis. And De Profundis, like, of course it rocks, you know? And any of the shit that I've said about it or that any of us have said about it so far, I think, you know, that may sound on its surface like criticism, really isn't. It's like the riff salad thing. Like that's more of an
that's a compliment in my opinion.
that's more of an observation than like talking shit about it. I'm ready to get to it. What are your production gripes, man? Like are you just gonna field dress Vader's production like right here in
I have a huge problem with Litany because of that kick drum. It buries other things and it covers up things and it my thing is about hearing the performance. The performance needs to come through, and I want to hear the performances of the musicians. So that's all it is. And then with death metal, the further aspect of production is that when it is like brutally, crushingly heavy, their entire discography is a very good museum of death metal production. Like from the very beginning till now, they've traveled through all of it, and they've been through all the different trends. Like for example, the reason the kick drum is like that on Litany, do you guys realize that Peter produced Decapited's first album, and he kind of discovered them or whatever. You know, he fostered them.
No,
yeah, he produced their first album. Well, I don't know where you guys were when that Decapitated album came out. I guess Schiller was in his crib. But
I'm older than every fucking member of Decapitated. You son of a bitch.
Well, you are now, but back then you were younger than them, weren't you?
My first Decapitated record was Organic Fleetsmith. So yes.
Okay. That's true. They were like 12.
Yeah. You got to remember, fucking Decapitated were like fetuses when they put out that first record. So Peter produced that, and what does that have to do with the kick drum sound?
Well, I was gonna say, then I think Litany may have been the next Vader album that came out after.
It's possible.
After he fucked with them, and he was like, "Oh, I have to do something to catch up with these youngsters."
In your version,
I'm just imitating what his voice sounds like on the songs. Decapitated sings.
Oh fuck.
See, I feel that fucking Sothis EP was such a high point that when I heard that, it took me many years to hear another Vader thing that I felt caught up to that. And the problem was that fucking song, The Wrath, because that is such a godly song. And I didn't even know at the time that was a re-recording of something.
A re-record, yeah.
And so years later, like maybe 5 years later, I heard the demo version. It's like, whoa! You know, it's like way raw and different, a little sloppier. So the new version, I think, is one of my favorite death metal songs of all time. Like on Sothis, the version of The Wrath that's on Sothis is so godly. And it's just because that song is so, I guess because it's one of the first Vader songs. It's so full of, youthful craziness. And
it's an old Vader song, but there's... one of the cool things about it, about you saying that you love that song so much, is that it is an old song, which I think is pretty tight. But one of the things that I think is more interesting as far as old Vader goes is like their original shit going way back.
Right.
This is the Live in Decay release, and all of the songs on here are fucking in Polish, except for one called Necropolis that they ended up re-recording as a bonus track. It might have been The Empire. It might have been Welcome to the Morbid Reich. I can't remember. It's one of the more recent records. But like, if you get the chance, you ain't gonna find it on fucking Spotify. But listen to this shit. It's live, it's raw, and like it's a totally different picture of the band. Vader is one of those bands that like I think if you're introducing somebody to death metal, you know, because they want to listen to it, Vader should be one of the first bands that they hear. And I do think that Vader has like enormous crossover appeal into other heavy genres of music, you know.
And I think once you have such an intimidating amount of releases almost, probably scares people away or makes them think like, oh, how can this be good? There's so much of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like Motorhead or something, yeah.
But it's all good.
You guys are making me want to listen to some Vader.
Dude, you need to listen to more Vader.
No, I'm going to get into the new one as soon as
soon as we're done, I'm going to listen to
Tibby.
Yeah.
Oh, Tibby?
Gotta get the Tibby on, man.
Just keep that joke in mind while you're listening. Well, now I'm thinking I'm going to really like this new one.
Speaking of you listening to Vader all the way through, I do not own their entire discography. You got to get Tibby. Where is Tibby? I'm trying to remember what the fuck.
Tibby!
Where are you, Tibby?
Where'd that girl at? Tibby!
One of the ones that we haven't talked about yet is fucking Impressions in Blood. This is what it was on Candlelight of all places.
I feel like when I got the new lineup and did Necropolis, it was good, but that one is like
Necropolis is a lower on the totem pole.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that one is like dialed in. Like that one's awesome.
That's exactly. I wasn't going to say dialed in, but I was going to say focused. Like it feels
back
like
at full strength.
Yes, it feels like a super fucking like they know that they're doing some shit.
Dude, I think anything from there forward, like you're going to like the recordings, Patrick. I think that they've like been consistent in the last while for sure.
Even though they did a fucking split with Nile? What the fuck?
Really?
Nile Vader split. Nile permitting the noble dead to descend to the underworld. Side 2, Vader, we are the Horde. Do you remember that Vader did like a theme to some video game? This would have been like around the early aughts.
No, man, I had no fucking idea. No, GoldenEye was it for me.
That was even too far for me. I'm 2D and 8-bit. 16-bit if you're nasty. But they had a whole video that had cutscenes from the video game in it. It was a big promotional push.
Vader Sword of the Witcher?
That's it. There you go. Oh, it was a Witcher game? Oh, because it's Polish. Oh, that makes sense now. Okay. Yeah, The Witcher is huge in Poland. That's where the books originated from.
It says here that the song was featured on like a CD that came along with the game, like inspired by The Witcher.
Fuck, that's gonna be such a pain in the ass for me.
Yeah, how you gonna find that one? Isn't that exciting?
Now I'm gonna have.
You gotta buy the game now. You gotta get.
I gotta buy an old fucking video game just so I can get a Vader disc.
And you gotta get the system that it plays on too.
I'm digging right now. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Poor shoulder.
Man, I put
a bee in his bonnet, Trevor.
Yeah, dude, this fucked my shit up.
No, that's awesome, dude. You fucking shook his ass.
Now I'm gonna have to fucking run this shit down.
I'm not trying to make you spend more obsessive money over here.
I'm gonna spend it anyway, man. I need all of the rails. I need everything.
Well, anyway, see, when Trevor does the stretches, I think he's giving us a signal.
Maybe. Yeah. I think we ran out of Vader juice.
So I think that one of the really cool aspects of these conversations about specifically bands who have got a whole lot of output is that when you listen to it by yourself for a really long time, obviously you've got all of these different associations that you have for that music. But I think that when you bring it into a conversation with other people who are like-minded enough that you have an appreciation for it, but different enough that you have sort of a different understanding of that appreciation for it, everybody benefits. And so hopefully, dear listener, who's been hanging out with the three of us fucking yakking for however long, if you haven't heard Vader before, man, go out and check that shit out. Embrace a long-running band who's been flying the flag for death metal for a very long time. If they are not one of your favorite bands, I guarantee you they are one of the favorite bands of somebody in one of your favorite bands. Check out fucking Vader. My recommended Vader starting point is Tibby et Igni. Trevor, what is yours?
Man, I might have to be the Dark Age, like re-recording. I think that's a perfect jump-off point.
I mean, the songs are there. The songs are obviously legendary. And then, like you said, with that beefed up re-recording, I think that would be probably something that people who maybe are newer to death metal or maybe who are more familiar with modern recording styles would be able to get into a little bit easier.
Right, there you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Set that fucking hook. You set that hook real deep, and then they got to dig back through the old shit. And next thing you know, you're fucking trying to find some video game that came out however many years ago that's got a fucking Vader song attached to it. Patrick, where would you start with Vader?
I guess I would say Sothis. Yeah, I would even narrow it down. Fuck it, just listen to The Wrath off of Sothis, and if that does not boil your wieners, then you're not gonna like Vader. Gentlemen, I appreciate you. You might even say I love you.
I love you guys. You son of a bitch. Talk soon, y'all.
See you boys on the flip side.
Peace in the Middle East.